You know, I'll give it to Donald Trump, and I will definitely give it to all of the naysayers and critics who said that the job market and the US economy was worse, is doing way worse than people actually believed based off the data presented by the government. Some people believe the government reports data accurately because they fundamentally misunderstand that the government is incompetent and that a lot of the data that the government aggregates and collects is frankly inaccurate. Trump and a lot of naysayers were 100% right. The Biden economy was shedding jobs at a much higher rate than was previously expected. All of those glorious numbers that were reported, all the shilling of the Biden economy, turned out to be a big, fat lie. So let's dive into what's going on with this massive jobs revision and what I'm going to do with my portfolio and what you could potentially do as rate cuts and an economic slowdown may start to materialize. Welcome back to Strongman Personal Finance. Like, subscribe. So, if we look at job growth, okay, this is a post from Zero Hedge, which I don't follow them because they're kind of clownish, but they show annual benchmark revision to non-farm payrolls in the thousands. And this is data going back to 2006. So what happens every year is there is a revision to the amount of new jobs that were created during the year. There's a very specific reason for that, as we're going to explore in a second. But we can see that every single year there's revisions. Sometimes, like in 2006, more jobs were created than was initially reported. And then from 2007 to 2010, more jobs were actually, there were fewer jobs created than was initially reported on all the reports that we get, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then you see this crazy anomaly start to take place in 2023, where we go back and we confirm the data was actually extremely inaccurate. The initial estimates that we received for how many jobs that were added were very, very off. And this can actually be very concerning because a lot of the jobs that are being created now aren't looking too good. Okay. The most recent jobs report had what, like 17,000 jobs created? You could see a precipitous decline in the number of new jobs created every single month. What if that data is wildly inaccurate and we have to revise those numbers down massively? Maybe the US economy is even shedding jobs. Okay. If you look over the past 3 years, 2023, 2024, and 2025, you could see massive downward revisions. Now, it's either two things. It's two things. Either the methods that the BLS is using are not very good statistically. They suck at taking statistical sampling, which leads to these future revisions, or there's some kind of cooking the books going on where the people at the BLS are politically motivated and want to make Biden look good and want to make Trump look bad. I personally think it's government incompetence because I understand how the government works. I've worked in the government, okay? But you know Donald Trump is going to take this as an opportunity to bash Biden and to claim that the government is corrupt. And there's a chance that he's right, okay? I'm not ruling out the possibility that there was some kind of political effery going on in the background. But these are massive revisions, and we just got another revision, a massive, massive revision to the tune of roughly 900,000 jobs, fewer jobs were created than was initially reported. So what's going on here? Well, I pulled this article from CNN, which of course is a very reliable source for pro-Trump propaganda. Every year, the BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, seeks to provide a near complete employment count by squaring past jobs data from business surveys. business surveys. So they're going out there and they're requiring businesses to report the number of jobs that they have on the books. I work at a corporation and I literally just finished the census. Okay. I had to do this annual census, or it was like what is it? Like every 4 years, you have to do a census. And, it was kind of a rush job. I did the best I could because we had missed the deadline, but because we didn't know about it. But that's kind of an example of how surveys from businesses couldn't be late. They could be late, which means that the government isn't getting timely data for these reports, or they could be wrong because the businesses could be rushed and basically report bad information. Not that I did that personally, but you catch my drift. Okay. So they initially rely on surveys and statistical analysis, sampling. And then they square it up with a comprehensive unemployment insurance quarterly tax filings, which is highly accurate, but significantly lagged in timing. So corporations are required to pay unemployment insurance for their employees. There's different amounts for the states. The federal government has unemployment insurance, FUTA, and you can get a credit on your state unemployment insurance, blah, 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 blah. But generally, the unemployment insurance quarterly tax filings are going to be a lot more accurate because you actually have to report every single employee and the wages they were paid, and you have to remit the unemployment taxes to the state or federal government or both. So the unemployment insurance quarterly tax filings, the returns are more accurate, but they're lagging. You're not going to get the report instantaneously. A company could have 50 jobs, but you're not going to know that until you get the next quarterly report. Okay. So the BLS initially relies on surveys and probably some kind of statistical sampling. And then when they get these updated reports, that's when the revisions happen. That's when they have to revise the numbers. So whenever you see the monthly report for jobs, new jobs created, you honestly can't trust it. What you have to trust is that the statistical sampling and the surveys behind that are accurate. And we've seen that they've been very wrong. So my personal suspicion is that there's something wrong with the math that they're using. And it's being done by incompetent, lazy government employees who are just there to get a paycheck and F off. Tell me how I know that. Okay. So that's what's happening here. That's why we're having these revisions. Now, what does Trump have to say? Well, we go to the White House and he went through like a retweeting frenzy. So he retweeted, or the White House, whoever runs the White House account, retweeted from the Secretary Lori Chavez DeRemer. Never heard of her in my life. Today's massive downward revision gives the American people even more reason to doubt the integrity of data being published by the BLS. Or it could also indicate that businesses suck at reporting, and it could partially indicate that the statistical methods that they're using are flawed. It's imperative for the data to remain accurate, impartial, and never altered for political gain. We don't know if that's the case. It's possible. I'm not ruling that out, but we don't know if that's the case. Leaders at the Bureau failed to improve their practices during the Biden administration, utilizing outdated methods that rendered a once reliable system completely ineffective and calling into question the motivation behind their inaction. Oh, man. So let's go back to this. Well, okay, so Biden was the president in 2022, and they actually revised jobs up. So they actually weren't. If they wanted to fluff Biden, they wouldn't have had this upward revision. So I think they just suck, personally. POTUS and the administration are putting a stop to years of neglect. We've committed to finding solutions to these problems, including by modernizing to improve transparency and delivering more accurate and timely data for American businesses and workers. I'm sure there eventually will be a better way. And watch it be somehow crypto and blockchains involved. But you can see why there's potentially an issue here. And it doesn't always mean that it's government corruption. It's probably incompetence. That's what I'm guessing it is. Okay. And then he retweets the Zero Hedge post. Massive swings in job numbers prove a pattern of incompetence at the BLS. Yes. President Trump was right to have made the change and was right that the numbers were being manipulated for political gain. That doesn't prove that they were being manipulated for political gain. That does not prove it. Okay. Not at all. And you can see downward revisions during his administration. So what does that mean? Okay. So he basically went through like a retweeting frenzy, or whoever runs this account, where he's basically calling into question everything that was installed by the Biden administration. And he does this for political gain because anytime something reflects negatively, he can just claim it's political manipulation. And anytime something's positive, he can claim victory for that. So basically, he can't lose. Okay. That's what he's going to use this for. It's going to be for political benefit. In reality, it's probably incompetence. That's my humble opinion. Okay. So what do you do with this? What does this mean? Well, we have this interesting tool here that I found. It's very cool. It's the CMEgroup.com, and it's called the Fed Watch tool. So basically what this tool does is it shows you when the next Federal Reserve's FOMC meeting is, which is going to be 7 days, 18 hours, 50 minutes, and 34 seconds. Oh, get your popcorn. And it gives you the probabilities of where rate policy is going to be after the meeting. So the current target rate for the Fed is between 425 to 450 basis points, 4.25% to 4.5%. However, what this tool is saying, and I don't know how accurate their data is, but they're giving a 93% chance of rates being cut 25 basis points to between 400 to 425, and a 7% chance of being cut to 375 to 400. So most likely what this tool is saying is that rates are going to be cut 0.25%, but potentially 0.5%, but it's very unlikely. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they cut by 0.5 percentage point. Okay. The jobs market's looking bad. The Fed seems to be more open to cutting rates. I would not be surprised if they cut 50 basis points. I wouldn't be surprised at all. What does that mean for you personally? Well, if you have short-term treasuries, oh yeah, your rate's going to go down. It's going to go down potentially 50 basis points next month, which is kind of upsetting personally because I have some money in treasuries. But that also reflects potential drops in yields on the long end. Now, this is a treasury yields chart, and it shows the treasury yield, the current yield of 3-month treasury, 6 months, 12 months, 2-year, 5-year, 10-year, 30-year. And short-term notes are treasuries. Then they call like medium-term government debt notes, and they call long-term government debt bonds. I remember that from school. But the thing you want to focus on is really two numbers. You want to focus on short-term treasuries because that's kind of related to your savings accounts. That's kind of related to that's directly related to your treasuries. And then you want to focus on the 10-year. The 10-year is directly correlated to your mortgage rates. That's right. So if the 10-year starts to drop, which it seems to have been dropping, as a matter of fact, in the past month, it's dropped 20 basis points. Mortgages are going to have lower rates because the mortgage industry determines the rate they're going to charge based off the risk-free rate. Why would a bank originate a mortgage for 4.09% if they can get 4.09% risk-free? Okay, and there's also some tax advantages buying treasuries versus getting interest from a private homeowner. So as the 10-year goes down, you're probably going to see mortgage rates go down. So if you think the economy is about to implode and it's doing a lot worse than you might have imagined, and you're kind of ready and thinking about buying a home, you might want to start gearing up. You might want to start putting some feelers out there, because if the economy implodes and rates go down precipitously, you need to be ready to strike and buy a home. That's exactly what I did back in 2020. I struck like a viper. Oh, I was like sub 3% loans. Let's go. Oh, man. Woo, mommy. Oh, I'm such a genius. So that's kind of what you need to be watching out for there. But yeah, this is a pretty significant downward revision. I'm not going to lie. This is pretty bad. Okay. I mean, these downward revisions year after year, and it grows and grows and grows. And it makes you wonder, well, the current revision, the current numbers they're putting out, which are guesses based off business surveys, how off are those numbers? Okay. Maybe too late wasn't a meme. Maybe we're already in a recession. Maybe the job market has collapsed. I've heard so many people complaining that it's hard to find jobs. They might be right. I hear about layoffs. They might be right that everything is going to crap in the labor market. That's a little scary, don't you think? So keep that in mind going forward. All right, let's do some member-only comments, and then we're going to move on to my final video. We got a new member. I guess they're just going to show him in every live stream. Welcome, JMG. If only they could find out a way for AI to buy groceries, make rent payments, and pay medical premiums, job losses wouldn't matter. I think most of the layoffs from AI are nonsense. I don't think AI right now is replacing a lot of people, personally. In the future, it might. But right now, I think it's still too soon. These reports are all lies. Fake alias says BLS. What does Blackluster Soldier have to do with jobs data? What is that? I've never heard of that before. Do you have a plan to grow your channel next year when you go full time? The market crash could happen during that time easily. Yes. Consistency. Market opens, market closes, daily clown report, and then random sporadic news videos. And working on the other channel too. And when I'm not on YouTube, I'm going to be doing taxes or other things. I'm going to be hustling. Hustling. But if I'm not doing anything else, my butt's going to be right here making YouTube videos. I'll be a tried and true YouTube grifter. I've been trying to give Strongman advice, but what advice are you trying to give me? Buy Tesla? Buy options, bro? Opening bell live streams? I'm going to have a lot of fun with that, dude. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. With the market crash, they're going to be, bro, if the market implodes, I'm going to have the time of my life. Oh, mommy. I was too nice during the last recession. If there's like a huge bubble pop, oh, boy, I'm going to be brutal, vicious, nasty, obscene. I know big names who I respect going cash as well, not just me. The only reason I'm cash is because I'm going to need potential liquidity. That's the only reason. If I was just staying in my job forever and waiting to retire at 65 from my W-2 job, I would see no reason to go cash. None at all. I have a 30-year time horizon. Strongman is in VT, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. The gamblers, if VT goes down 40%, the clowns are going to go down 90%. It's going to be brutal. I'm going to love it. It's worth it, baby. It's so worth it. It's during markets like this that make me glad I'm not in VT. Oh, you'll appreciate VT. Don't worry. It'll happen. In VT crash or sign. Exactly. I don't care if there's a crash. I think it'll be funny, but I'm not scared of a crash at all. I'm back. Wonderful. I was just wondering where you went. Time to let everything collapse. I hope it does. I want to see grifters crying, shaking in terror as their channels implode. Not that it's going to happen. So dumb. Why not learning how to sell short and making money? Just short the market, bro. Pointless waste of time. I was busy listening to Jeremy's latest video. I got a daily Jeremy videos. Got to make sure you're watching those for that expert market analysis. And, he draws circles on financial statements with different colors. The Casa got sold was this, pink. The research and development, blue. Wow, Jerry, wow. He does not understand accounting. He's a moron. Just have cash, collect interest, and buy up the treasuries are going to start yielding lower rates. I mean, that's the problem with buying short-term treasuries. That's the risk is if the Fed starts cutting the rates, you're not going to get as much interest. They're basically there for stability. That's the only reason. 99% of today's investors never saw a real bear market. That's why you think that. I hope we have a .com bubble style burst. I don't think we will personally, but that would be funny. That would be hilarious. I don't think International would do that bad. Trump acts like a kid. Yeah, he's kind of a clown. I wouldn't buy anything for a real investment until Bitcoin is gone. Basically, 51% of Biden's jobs were. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's all fake. The whole system is a Ponzi scheme. In many ways, it is. Cutting rates is going to drop the market. It admits we are doomed. We're not doomed. We're not doomed. This happened before. Sometimes we go through recessions. It's not the end of the world. That's why you invest and save during good times. When times are good, save, save, save. And when times are bad, you can live off the savings that you saved when times were good. Just go all in the market, bro. No cash, nothing. Then stocks drop 50%. Oh, no. Oh, baby, I can't wait. I'm loading up on bonds, shorts, and staples. I'm looking for how to prepare for this crash. Keep DCing into VT. 1929 crash will be seen as a joke. I don't think it's going to be that bad. You called me a clown a few videos ago. Bunker and boomsticks. Now you're in. I think H93 is being sarcastic. Oh, he's rebranded. He's fluffing me now. Okay, we got Ukraine. Iran problems are going to end bad. Ukraine and Iran are not as bad as like World War II or World War I or Vietnam. I mean, like, it's going to be fine, okay? Now, if China takes Taiwan and we go through a huge war with China, oh, yeah, that would be bad. Stocks would not do well, I think. But Ukraine and Iran, whatever. We are next on the meat grinder risk list. What? There's a meat grinder list? Meat Kevin has a list? GME earnings, don't care. Fake Alias says, I used to have multiple job offers on LinkedIn a month ago, and now I got nothing. That's actually true. I don't think I used to get a lot of messages too, and now it's completely stopped. Now that I think about it, I used to get calls constantly from like Indian recruiters. Would you like a job, sir? And now I get nothing. Maybe I should stay at my job, guys. What do you think? Strongman is so underrated. That proves how dangerous this market is. When Strongman achieves millions of views, it will be the bottom. Yeah, that's never going to happen. I'm trying to warn people, but clowns like Capital Mindset Discord and Dan are making me seem wrong. While promoting degenerate options gambling and reading articles on Seeking Alpha. Get the popcorn. China will be the event. If I was in China, I would just wait, bro. They don't need to rush to invade Taiwan. They can just wait and wait and wait. It's kind of like the Taliban in Afghanistan. They just had to wait, and they won. Eventually, America just kind of like, okay, we're done with this. We're ready to move on to something more important. And then that's when you swoop in and defeat America. China has forever. They will eventually take Taiwan. No doubt in my mind. And should we stop them? Well, that's for you to decide. If we get a black swan with the amount of risk in this market, a 10% decline in one day will be normal. That would be hilarious. GME did great. We are finally profitable. Oh, wonderful. Are you going to buy Bitcoin now? People don't remember 2020 when I remember watching the news and the market was just plunging. I'm like, dang, that's crazy. I mean, the drops were like very rapid. I just stated on Jay Nagy's stream how we could have many possible black swan. Well, there's always a chance for a black swan. It's unpredictable. That's what a black swan is. It just comes out of nowhere. Mark stocks go down. Pandemic has something to do with that. Somebody says China will never invade Taiwan. You give it even if it takes a century, they're gonna get it. They're gonna get it. Okay? They're one people. They will be united. All right. Well, anyway, that's that for that video. The next video is going to be us covering Oracle because it went up a lot. So therefore, we have to cover the stock so I can farm ad revenue, memberships, and super chats. Thank you for signing up for the membership, Mr. JMG. If you want me to answer your comments, you need to become a member. Unfortunately, if you're not a member of my channel, I can't answer your little clownish comments. Okay? Sucks for you. Anyway, like, subscribe, consider joining as a member, consider booking a free 30-minute tax consultation with me. I am a certified public accountant. I do business and personal taxes for anybody in any state in the United States. You can book a free 30-minute consultation with me. I'll talk to you for free. I'll give you an upfront quote for my tax preparation services, and I'll do your taxes like a boss. Give me a couple minutes. Got to make the thumbnail. Got to pull up the articles or get everything ready. And then we'll dive into the next video, Oracle. Cheers!